So I am actually going to attempt a one-day read of a very interesting book that my friend Yusef is interested in and has already ordered. Now I know what you're thinking. Stephen, are you really such a small-minded prick that you're going to order a book and try to read it just so you can tell Yusef you completed it before him? Yeah, I really am that shallow and small-minded, folks. So I'm trying to come out of my buddy Yusef ahead on this one. Now, all I would actually need right now, though, definitely, is I'm going to need the actual physical book. Oh, well, look at that. That was pretty interesting, huh? So, now we begin. Okay, so I've actually finished this book, and I have some insights to it that I'm going to say, but first I want to take a little sip here, recharge my batteries. Used up a lot of energy to read that. Very tasty. That'll do the trick. So anyways, I actually do have a lot of really good things to say about this book, and I'm going to generalize some of the things that were said, because, my buddy Yusef, is Muslim and I'm Christian. But this gets on a lot of points. I've noticed a trend, unfortunately, emerging of when Christian parents kind of asked, what their plans are, especially the son rounding about high school, they tend to speak in the negative. I'm guaranteed that he'll graduate high school, that he won't do any kind of a stint in juvie, and won't get a girl pregnant. Now, I want to be very clear. Those are all very important things. I want to make sure I stay that. But that's a floor, definitely not the ceiling, and certainly not something to inspire to. I thought that the author of the book does a really good job at pointing out that the weak can't be righteous, because righteous is people who have the ability and choose to do the right thing. Oftentimes we're in a society, I think, that's made up of a lot of frankly weak people. They don't really have the will to do good. They're just scared to be caught scheming for themselves and indulging in their own selfish behaviors. I often tell the story that the reason why I think it's very difficult to raise, for godly parents, spiritual parents, to raise children in this environment is for the very, simple reason of what you have to raise your son to be. I speak for sons because, I didn't have sisters, I just had brothers. And I think, I tell a story that I worked really hard to get a uniform. And when I got that uniform, it allowed me to do and see a lot of atrocious behaviors, right? And that uniform was the varsity jacket. Yeah, varsity jacket mafia. There was even some popular song here in America that had the lyric, they describe somebody as a football player rapist. Sadly enough, you mentioned that to anybody who graduated from an American high school, public education that is, and probably most people know somebody like that. And it's much more difficult because, the guy who wants to raise shows a way of God has to produce a child that can compete with that guy. Physically, obviously, if he has to defend himself, but also if he has to defend someone else. He's also got to be the type of guy who the ladies want as much as they're going to want that sort of alpha predator person. So I think the author does a very great job on talking about that. He, of course, muses on the same problems that a lot of people muse about, which is, the video game thing. And, hey, I'll be honest with you, I do think that's becoming a kind of addiction that no one wants to talk about. Also, the widespread availability of pornography on mobile devices that, children as young as 5 are operating. Although I do gotta say, I found Joseph Campbell's book, The Power of Myth, it's called, to be a bit better. That talks about masculinity in a religious sort of comparative context throughout the ages. This book gets to that, but it doesn't do as thorough of a job. Thank you.